Region Niners, welcome to IAM USA's Region 9 podcast, Region Talk. Here, giving emergency managers a forum to get their news, share an open discussion, and talk about the industry. I'm your host today, Tomer Kalansky. Isamar, unfortunately, couldn't join us today. She's not feeling so great, so we wish her well, and we're excited to see her again soon. Today on episode 17, we're going to discuss the sunsetting of the United States Fire Administration's All-Hazard Incident Management Program. That's right. The program was held under the U.S. Fire Administration. It's been phased out and without any sort of follow-up conversation, but we'll get to that here in just a few minutes. In the meantime, let's get some updates going for you. Calendar invites for the Region 9 Executive Board and for their Advisory Committee are pending. The new schedules will be once a month, once a quarter, respectively. A big thank you to those who attended, participated, and supported the first in-person second annual Region 9 Symposium that we had in Garden Grove, California. If you have not submitted your evaluation, be sure to do so we can send your certification of attendance. It was a great opportunity. Glad to have had everyone there. We are just so thrilled on the great positive turnout we had, and we really look forward to seeing all of you again and many more next year at our new at our third conference, which I believe is Reno, Nevada next year. As far as national updates for IAM, this Thursday, March 16th, will be a webinar on how to successfully complete the IAM scholarship applications. If you're interested in this opportunity and you're a student of higher education, be sure to tune in. Join the IAM Plugged In, the virtual conference on April 20th and 21st. Registration is currently open. And now I want to talk about our guest who's going to be joining us today. He's a good friend, a great mentor. I had the pleasure of working with him here in El Segundo, California. Dr. Randal Collins, who's also the president of the All Hazards Incident Management Teams Association. Go ahead. Welcome, Dr. Collins.
Hey, Tomer. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, it's another great day for disaster preparedness in Southern California, my friend.
That's right. Hey, there it is. I do miss hearing that every day. What's new? How have you been? What's the good word out of AHIMTA?
Yeah, so the All Hazards Incident Management Teams Association just finished our international conference. We were in Long Beach, and it was just right on the heels of the IAM Region 9 conference. So I wish I could have come out a little earlier and attended that, but unfortunately missed you all there. Missed all my Region 9 friends from there. But the association's conference was just another great opportunity for networking with all those individuals that are on these teams that, are anywhere and everywhere there's a major disaster happening. We have members out there. And so, learning about the best practices and the lessons learned from all those different incidents and the new and creative ways of doing things or how to approach different disasters was always amazing. But, of course, the networking is the best.
Totally.
Just, solidifying those relationships so that we can, work together in the future on the various incidents that happen.
Awesome. Yeah, it's I think that we all kind of go to these events for the great learning and everything, but we all really enjoy the networking and the conference out of these conferences. That's how I think that it seems like all the true bonds are really made is after hours and those get-togethers and those hanging out and learning. So definitely glad to hear it was such a great success. How you guys excited? Are you guys gearing up already for next year?
Hey, Atlantic City next year. So around the same time, we haven't locked in the dates specifically, but we're looking at it. So look for having all of our friends out there in Atlantic City next year. So it'll be a good time. Start going back to the East Coast.
Awesome. There we go. All right. Very cool. So I kind of want to hop back to our topic of the night.
Yeah.
The U.S. Fire Administration's dissolution of their incident management teams program. How did you find out about that? And what does exactly that mean to you from what you've gathered?
Yeah. So how did I find out about it is obviously the association works very closely with all kinds of stakeholders that have a part to play in the all hazards incident management teams spectrum. And the U.S. Fire Administration All Hazard Incident Management Team program has been, basically at the crossroads of that program ever since ever since all hazard incident management teams really started springing up back in the early 2000s. So the program's been around a while. They've been the program administrator has always been worked collaboratively and closely with the association. So as it came closer and closer to the U.S. Fire Administration closing that program down, we obviously knew that it was happening just from open conversations, and what ultimately that's leaving a huge gap for what they were doing for all hazards incident management teams. And most recently, they created a course called the R325 course that incident management teams could go through. And then they also recently created what we call the 3-tier program, and basically developing capacity, being able to measure capacity of all hazard incident management teams for teams that want to be at a national level, meaning that they can deploy anywhere in the country, or a regional level, deploy in the air within their particular geographic region, or local level, not going anywhere, just really taking care of home base. And so those are two examples of huge programs that they were doing, or development and doctrine that they were doing, and now it's gone. So it's unfortunate for that.
Yeah, definitely. That's really unfortunate to hear. But can you expand a little bit on the R325 program a little bit, and how that helps those incident management teams that are looking for that kind of national response? I'd love to hear some more about how that plays out for them now.
Yeah, well, the R325 program really was in a long time development after Hurricane Harvey in I believe 2017, and then the next year in 2018. Actually, 2-3 years there in a row was really high op-tempo time for incident management teams, because we had hurricanes going on, of course, and then we had wildfires going on, and so there was a lack of resources. We need a lot more incident management teams, and so FEMA comes to the association and trying to figure out how to get more resources involved in the response of things. And we said, hey, we know who our members are, and we know some of these teams by reputation, but there's really no good way for us to say team A or team B or whatever is a good team, because there's rotation of people, and there's rotation of funding for these teams and that sort of thing. So the R325 was designed to allow teams to go through this program so that you can be assured that the teams work together as a team and are functional as a team. So, most people, when we talk about incident management teams, the individuals are qualified in their particular position, and that's easy to do from an individual standpoint. This was really a shot at trying to qualify a team as a whole working together. And so that's what the intent of the program is. That program has been transferred over to the National Fire Academy now. And so if anybody out there is interested in that program and getting involved, getting their incident management team involved in that, you should reach out to the National Fire Academy.
Awesome. Yeah, great. Kind of circling back a little bit to the original, sunsetting of this program.
Yeah.
We know that AHIMT, the All Hazards Incident Management Teams Association, reached out to Administrator Criswell in kind of like an open letter, if you will. Can you share with our audience what was in this letter?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously we had significant concerns about the closing of this program because of its value to the all hazard incident management team environment. And so we wanted to really understand why they were doing this, and more importantly, not only why, but what's happening to all the work that they're doing. Are they transferring it over to, just like they transferred the R325 over to the National Fire Academy? Who's going to be working on this doctrine? Who's going to be working on the coordination that they do with other programs? The administrator of that program sat on the NWCG board. So is that going to be gone? Is that going to be replaced by somebody else? So there was just so many questions, and it was kind of not being done out in the open as much as we wanted to know. And so my letter to Administrator Criswell was basically saying, hey, we're really concerned. We'd love to be a part of that conversation, so we, as an association, can pick up some of the gaps that are going to happen if we close this program. But then also be on record with saying, we don't want this program to go away. It's too valuable. We need more incident management teams, and taking a program away is not going to be in pursuit of that. And of course, from our association standpoint, incident management teams add to the national preparedness goal. And so taking that program away, in our opinion, would diminish that. But all that to say, we just wanted our objections on record, our concerns on record, and just be upfront about that. So that's what the letter was about.
Oh, all right. Awesome. So my question, I guess, is, with all those teams that maybe have held these qualifications through the fire administration, how do you see that affecting them? And do you see any way? Is there some path that the association is working on to help bridge that gap between those two and help kind of build that repository of qualifications and databases?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, Tomer, because they never really managed qualifications, but what they did do a really good job of, and this was like their base from the beginning, was helping jurisdictions build incident management teams and understanding what that process was. And it can be pretty complicated to build a team. As you know, in El Segundo, I was building that incident management team, and it takes a long time and takes a lot of effort to do that. I think you were even a big part of developing, our standard operating procedures and guidelines. So, but that's what the U.S. Fire Administration helps other jurisdictions do, or at least that's what they did. And so, to fill that, but to answer your question, to fill that void, the association has done everything possible to try to pick up the slack of where, of the gap that is now left. So we grabbed all the information that was on the U.S. Fire Administration's website and have tried to replicate that as much as we can on the association's website in terms of all the details about building incident management teams there. And I think we still got a little bit more to go. It's not as comprehensive as the Fire Administration's was, but we're still building that. Having that program go away does leave opportunity for us as an association to pick up some things and maybe do some things that U.S. Fire Administration never would have done because of their limitations being from a government versus us being a private nonprofit kind of thing. So
sure.
So what we've done now, and we just actually announced it at our conference, is we have developed the All Hazard Incident Management Team Association Incident Management Certification System. And there are many states that have already adopted the association's Interstate Incident Management Qualification System, but only about 12 of them. And so there's a lot of states that maybe have their own because they're following the national qualification system that was put out by FEMA. And that's obviously getting a little bit more traction now because that's being tied to emergency management performance grant funding. So now there's an expectation that people use a qualification system. But many states still to this day don't have a qualification system of any kind, other than maybe in their wildland fire arena and so forth. But so what that allows us to do with this new certification system is do the heavy lift for states. And so anybody can apply to become certified in an ICS position. And then they have to obviously do all the training that is required in the qualification requirement, and then do position task books demonstrating their performance in the positions. And then they can send us an application packet. We'll review that packet, much like you do also with the CEM. And then we will certify different people in those particular positions. Again, doing that heavy lift, but allowing the states to recognize the individuals that are certified in incident commander, planning section chief, logistics section chief, and so forth. So, but what we also wanted to do was make it the gold standard. So the national qualification system is the minimum standard. And so if you go and look at the resource typing library tool that FEMA has in their prep toolkit and look at the qualifications of those positions, that is what we call the minimum standard.
Sure.
And the AHIMTA standard under this certification program is a lot more stringent. So there's more training requirements. There is smaller currency requirements, we instead of 5 years, you have to recertify every 4 years, kind of thing. But those are by position. We also have a continuing education performance requirement. So, and that's no other system has that. Not even in the wildland system. You still have to maintain currency. So that means you have to work in that position for at least 2 operational periods in your position or other positions that provide the same currency, so that we know that you remain proficient in the particular position. But we also add 15 hours of continuing education hours for every year of currency that you have to maintain. So very stringent standard. Also 3 qualifying incidents in the national qualification system. It's only 2 qualifying incidents, events, or exercises. So we moved to 3. So there's a lot of different and more stringent standards for the association, and we want that because we want to be the gold standard, and we want it to be something that people are proud of. They put on their resume, and we know now that in the workforce, it's not just people that have received ICS training, but it's people that have actually worked in those positions and know how to implement ICS properly.
Awesome. Yeah. Excellent. That's fantastic. So, I kind of wanted to circle back a little bit to Administrator Criswell. In the letter you guys sent out, do you know if you heard anything back? Did she respond? If she responded, what did she say? What any outcome there?
Yeah. Well, Administrator Criswell, she's been a great partner to the association. She's the first administrator that has allowed us to. I've been to FEMA headquarters and met with her. That was before all of this. And then actually I was in DC just shy of a year ago, and we had scheduled a meeting then as well. Unfortunately, that got sidetracked by op tempo issues, and that sort of thing is going to happen with the FEMA administrator, of course. So she's a friend of the association. She believes in incident management teams. She had incident management teams used in New York when she was there. So she did take our letter very seriously. And it resulted in a meeting with myself and several FEMA stakeholders from across all of FEMA that are involved in incident management team kind of things. And we had a conversation about what they're doing and what they're not doing. And it was a good conversation. I think they wanted to know more about what our concerns were, and we shared that with them. And they reciprocated with information about what they're doing and how they're bumping up, providing more 0305 course offerings. The 0305 All Hazard Incident Management Team
Great course.
So they're giving more of those. They're investing more in the position-specific training. They're not letting the R325 go. They've transferred to the National Fire Academy. So there was an exchange of information, and I still would love to see the program not go away, but that decision's been made. And we're just going to move forward with the opportunities that decision has, and instead of dwelling on the negatives of it.
Definitely. It seems like it's a great opportunity. Almost like a silver lining for the incident management organization to kind of step in and shine. I know. I mean, even back when we worked together, you'd been talking about these qualifications and helping establish these. So it kind of just seemed like a silver lining or a blessing in disguise. This has kind of happened. It's allowed you and the AHIMTA organization to step forward and kind of bring you guys' plans to light maybe a little bit sooner than you guys were hoping for, but it's definitely coming, and it's very exciting to see that this is starting to build up, and a lot of people are adopting it, and so that's great.
Yeah. Well, no, and Tomer, you just reminded me that, when we were at El Segundo together, and, we were trying to get a lot of our individuals certified or qualified in their position through the California system and the CICCS system. And, what we really experienced there, as you very well know, was kind of a disparity between what region we were in the South Bay and other areas within LA County, and we put application packets together. We submitted it to their quality review board or qualification review board, and some were rejected, a lot for different reasons and that sort of thing. But we also know those same applications would have been approved in another area of LA County, and that's just LA County alone, let alone across states and that sort of thing. So what the All Hazard Incident Management Team Association Incident Management Certification System does is it nationalizes this and makes it the same standard all across the country, with one certification review board looking at things in a similar manner. So, whether you're from Massachusetts or whether you're from the state of Washington, and you have our certification, it's the exact same proof of what you have accomplished and proof of what competency you have in those particular positions.
That's excellent. That's a big part. That standardization really does help. It all helps when we all speak the same language and understand what's going on in that process. So I'm glad to hear that AHIMTA has this opportunity to step in. As we both and I have said about back in El Segundo, the applications, it almost kind of seemed like it was a crapshoot who's going to get the approval and who wasn't. Two packets could have been submitted identically, and who knew who was going to get it. But if we'd taken them to maybe even Northern California, both could have been accepted without any issues. Who knows what was going on there?
Right.
We could probably spend a whole day talking about just that. But what else? I guess I'm trying to learn from this, and thank you for sharing so far.
Yeah.
Where do you see the future of incident management teams? Where do you see the future of the organization, the association, going alongside IMTs and building out this hopefully mutually beneficial relationship?
Well, certainly the association, just like any organization, we want to look out for our own financial health. We want to look out, we want to increase our membership and that sort of thing. So those are all goals of the association. But, so take those internal goals aside. And, one of the biggest things for us is developing more incident management teams. Here's the deal. Incident management teams are used where the rubber meets the road at large disasters. And they're the ones that are providing the direct help, organizing those large amounts of resources in such a way that it's providing assistance to people in need, and using that methodology of the greatest good for the greatest number. Mm-hmm. And so we need more incident management teams. And I think it's incumbent on emergency managers. We often get focused in on our emergency operations center. We get a little myopic about what we're trying to do with just an emergency operations center. But, emergency managers are responsible for the entire framework of that disaster response. And that includes ensuring that the tactical level works as well as the operational level and the strategic level. And sometimes I think we push off the tactical level and say, that's police stuff, that's fire stuff. And yes, some of the tasks of the tactics are definitely a lot more blue lights, or, depending on the hazard, public works, public health, sure, that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, still building that framework is an emergency manager's responsibility. And so having an on-site incident management capability is very important. And we should actually have more on-site incident management capability than we do emergency operations center capability. Almost every county in the country has an emergency operations center. Mm-hmm. But in terms of all hazard incident management teams, we only have about 225. So that's not in alignment with, the more situational awareness that you have at that tactical level, the more capability that you have at that on-site incident management team level. It's actually going to make your emergency operations center function a whole lot better, because you're getting a whole lot better information. The resource requests are coming in are a lot more targeted based on that strategic or that tactical plan, that incident action plan, because there's a good ops chief there determining what resources you actually need to request. And then, your logistics section chief has that functional ability to work with that emergency operations center and get those resources ordered. So building incident management teams is really, what the All Hazard Incident Management Team Association wants to do. We want to inspire excellence in incident management so that we get the help to the people on the ground that are really affected by those disasters.
Yeah, definitely. Well, wow. Thank you for all the work you do with the IMTs, as well as the advocacy, going on in the background at the All Hazards Incident Management Teams Association. Well, that was a mouthful.
It is a mouthful, but it's very specific about what we are, and it's a specialty kind of thing. So it's a niche for us.
Yeah, it's a great niche. Randy, thank you again for coming on with us today.
Sure.
Do you mind sharing how our listeners can get a hold of you if they want to reach out and chat with you about this?
Yeah, of course. You can always reach out to us on our website, www.ahimta.org. And then at that website is also our phone number and an email there. If you want to get me personally, it's rcollins@ahimta.org. So happy to take personal email or just send it to the AHIMTA email from the website, and it goes to a lot of people, and we filter out, try to route that, whatever the request is, to the right person that handles whatever responsibilities.
Send that resource request.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
There it is. Awesome. Well, thank you again, Randy. It was great talking to you. Love all the work that you're doing, and we'll talk soon.
Right. Well, good to see you, Tomer. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Right.
So again, want to shout out to Randy. Thank you very much for joining us. And for all of you who've been on there, if you enjoyed this podcast segment or have an idea for a podcast topic, we want to hear from you. DM us on any of our social media channels or email any of the Region 9 representatives. We're so happy to be able to put this on for you and share this information. Thank you again, Region 9ers, for joining us. And as always, we owe a big thank you to the man on the controls behind the screen, Brian at Stitch Radio, for being our awesome producer. Just a reminder, if you haven't already, follow IAM Region 9 on all of our social media platforms to get the most updates out of what is happening. Keep on rocking, Region 9. We appreciate you.